So this is going to be the topic of debate today. We're going to look back at the 2021 draft class. So you got all you guys there, all your picks, including I put as a collective unit the undrafted free agency class. So we've all been to school before. We all know how it works. You know, we got our grades, how we feel, and I'm only grading on the production strictly for us. I don't care what they've done with other teams. Granted, a lot of these guys haven't played for a lot of other teams, but only what they did in the 3 years till now. Because I feel that, like, with draft classes and picks, that you cannot give a fair assessment or grade until they've had 3 seasons in the league. When they've had 2 seasons to develop and 3 seasons, I've said it many times, your 3rd season is when you really see whether a player's got it or they don't. So I think it's a good time to look back at the 2021 draft class. Gives us something different to do leading up to free agency and give them a fair shake. So what say you guys? You ready?
Ready. Let's do it.
All right. So we're going to be starting off with a doozy of a pick. Oh, boy. Another one of Gruden's first round draft picks that he hit out of the ballpark, so to say. So round 1, pick 17, we selected offensive lineman, tackle, right tackle, Alex Leatherwood from Alabama. Who wants to go first?
I'll go last. Go ahead, Solo.
Is there a G up there for the grade? Nah, man. For him to be the what, 16th, 17th pick? Which one was it?
17.
Listen, man. I get what Gruden was trying to do. He was trying to grab somebody from Alabama, you know, a well-known, you know, organization structure in college. The team, the Alabama linemen always were decent. But I mean, if you want to say a true fuck up, this is one of the true fuck ups that Gruden had. Alex Leatherwood. If there is a G available, please give him a G, because he was so terrible I couldn't give him nothing A to F. Is that bad? But man, like I said, I get what Gruden was trying to do, but man, he screwed that one up, man. You can't give him nothing higher than an F, in my opinion. So he wasn't very productive. That's about all I can say, man, because he didn't do much of nothing. So I'll give him a G.
G. All right, Ont6, talk to me.
This has got to be one of the most stupidest draft picks in recent Raiders draft history, bro. To take this goddamn moron, I mean, a fucking moron, bro, that doesn't know how to play offensive line and shit. And somehow the fucking John Gruden thought, you know what? I see a right tackle in this fucking future, dude. And it's pretty bad. When the first preseason game, I don't know if I remember you and me this clearly. We were talking about this when this happened. And when that's a 3rd string defensive end from the Jaguars, that's not even gonna make the fucking team, fucking puts him on his ass and go sacks the quarterback, bro. And this is a 3rd string defensive end from the fucking Jaguars, right? And that's when I knew it was gonna be bad, right? That's when I knew it was really gonna be bad. And I'm just like, no, it's just a preseason, you know what I mean? He's gonna get, you know, good talent. No, that guy didn't even make the fucking team. He didn't even make their team. Not even the practice squad. You know what I mean? And then we're like, nah, let's try my right guard, you know what I mean? Nope. All he wants to do is get holds and false starts. He wants to little hold me, dance me. No, this guy's a horrible ass player, bro. And you know how horrible he was? He didn't even finish out his rookie contract with us. You know how horrible you gotta be not to finish your rookie contract with the team that drafted you? Just think about that. Usually every player the Raiders have drafted, in one way or another, at least finish the rookie contract and get the fuck up out of here. Except if you're Lynn Bowden Jr., but that's a whole nother story for another day and shit, you know? But goddamn, bro, this was one of those head-cracking picks to this day, especially too fucking when we got our next draft pick that we got. A lot of people were predicting that we were going to get him in the 1st round. You know what I mean? Instead of Leatherwood. So looking back at it, it's just horrible that even the Bears even took a chance on them, and still they couldn't do anything with them. It just sucks, man. At the end of the day, that we just wasting draft picks after draft picks on garbage like this, moron.
Agree.
Right. All right, I'm just going to read this comment out real quick before I give my 2 cents. So, don't mean to jump ahead, but the fact that offensive lineman Landon Dickerson, a 2-time Pro Bowler already, 3 seasons in and he's 2-time Pro Bowler, went round 2, 37th overall, what it could have been instead of Leatherwood, right? All right, I'll get on my soapbox. Guys, it'd be nice to see the player and like the 5 players drafted after them. I don't know, maybe if one of you guys want to let me know or Google while I'm having a spiel. Okay, so Leatherwood. All right. I actually did a live draft reaction to Alex Leatherwood, and you can see on the footage, you can see my reaction. I was like, who the fuck? Like, why are we taking this guy? I hadn't heard of him, but right, like I gave him a chance. God, like it was the I guess it was the I get what he was trying to do, because we did need to solidify that right tackle spot, which is still a position that's in flux, and it has been for the most part since I've been a fan. 13, 14 years. I mean, Trent Brown's probably the best piece we had, and we all know what it was like with him trying to get him on the field. But anyways, with Leatherwood, his rookie season, it was a disaster. And salute to you, Twanasi, in the building. We kicked him out at tackle. That was the same year we had Andre James starting at center for the first time. Both of them were playing pretty horrible, so we ended up making some moves and had him kick over to right guard, taking over from Illumina that year. And he did better. I'll give him credit and kudos on that. Like, I thought he did okay enough as a guard in his rookie season. Come year 2, there was a lot of smoke for me when I remember Incognito did a interview, and he was talking about the offensive line because he just retired, and he was talking about everyone else. He specifically highlighted Brandon Parker at right tackle. He mentioned every other player on the team, every other lineman. He was talking about Good. He was talking about Miller and James, but he didn't talk about Leatherwood. So that for me was like, all right, there's more smoke there. Come the preseason, you just highlighted it was actually against the Dolphins, right? Where he got a lot of opportunity that preseason to make the job his own, but he was getting bullied again and again and again. One specific moment during that Dolphins game where I was right there with you on 6, that was my moment where I'd seen enough. I was like, I'm done. Like, this isn't going to work. On consecutive plays, you said it was a defensive end who beat him on a speed rush on the outside. Like, it was like a 3rd string speed rusher or whatever. Like an undrafted free agent, maybe. But he made Leatherwood look pathetic. And then on the very next play or series, I'm pretty sure it was real close to that, he got pushed back, much like Van Roten did in that Bills game, right into the quarterback by a 2nd, 3rd string nose tackle. So he's getting beaten by speed and by power on consecutive plays or drives. And I remember seeing that last one, the one that I just talked about, and that was it for me. I was just like, I'm done. Like, I'm done with Leatherwood. And sure enough, we cut bait with him. You could see by the body language, especially in his interviews, like he emotionally and mentally just his confidence was shot, which I kind of sympathize for, but you know, it is what it is. And McDaniels is not the kind of guy who's going to canoodle a guy. He's the kind of coach that's going to kick a player when he's down. You know what I'm saying? So we got him up out of there, and that was the end of story with Leatherwood. Thank Christ. I think, did the Bears trade a draft pick, or they just signed him and took the salary cap hit? And salute to you, Rough, I see in the building. Was that what happened with Leatherwood?
They cleaned him off the waivers because when she cut him, they cleaned him off the waivers, so they cut the rest of the contract.
I was shocked.
Well, thank the heavens they did that. Took the salary cap hit away from us. And yeah, that's my only saving grace. But Leatherwood ended up going to the Bears, didn't really do much. But in terms of what he did for us, I would almost be a little bit more generous, being that at guard, I thought he did okay. But I'm going to be right there with you. I think everyone's going to agree with this. The value we got, only having a player who you drafted in the 1st round for one season. And shout out to you, Raider Rundown. I see you up in the chat. Good to see you, my friend. I think we can all agree. F.
Not even. It's an NA for me. What are you even talking about? It's not even the F, dog. It's not even the. He's not even on the scale for me.
I said G. I said G. If you can find that, just put him there.
I just say NA because there's not even applicable. There's not even a letter for him. There's not even anything for him. We should just put him in the bathroom, let him stay there with Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler. You know what I mean? We should just do them all there, dog. Just put them all in there, dog. All of them.
Right. All right.
Michael
We'll leave him there
Lombardi,
in F, but yeah, and Lombardi. So he can go with Lombardi, McDaniels, and Co. And they can all just fuck off, right? Anyways. Well, it's going to go up from here with the rest of our draft class for the most part, because in the second round, we picked 43 from TCU. We selected TREVON MOEHRIG, a guy we actually were looking at drafting in the first round. And I did a live reaction, which I've uploaded to the MOEHRIG pick, and I was fist pumping the air. I was really happy. As well as a lot of the Raider Nation were happy at the time because, again, he was a player that we earmarked to draft possibly at pick 17. He was pegged to be the best safety in that year's draft class, and we needed a safety because Jonathan Abram was not really panning out, and the other side was a question mark. So we've been looking for a center fielder for the longest time since the days of Woodson, and when he left, it's just been a bit of a flux position again. But what say you about TREVON MOEHRIG from TCU? Ont6, you want to go first? And salute you, Cool Kev. I see you in the building.
I mean, when this pick happened, I was really excited. You know what I mean? Especially his rookie year, he came out playing at a Pro Bowl level. I was really excited. His second year, he took a little fall, but lately he's been one of the better safeties in the league. And this is him and Epps have been one of the best tandems in the league, in my opinion. So
salute Raider man.
I really like MOEHRIG. I have a lot of his autographed rookie cards. Hopefully, he keeps playing at this level and keeps going higher and higher, and hopefully he makes a Pro Bowl or two. But the sky's the limit for this guy. He has all the time in the world, and if he keeps this up, and especially playing in Patrick Graham's system for year number 3, could see him probably making the Pro Bowl.
For sure. Salute to Benther. I can't find your comment in the feed, but if you're watching, salute to you. Cool Kev just pulled up and a few others, so appreciate you guys. Solo, what say you about Mr. MOEHRIG?
That was a good take, Ont6. I mean, I agree, man. At first, when we drafted MOEHRIG from TCU, I was kind of sketchy, but I looked at his film and I liked what I saw. Rookie year, he played pretty good. Like Ont6 said, his second year, that's when I was like in question about him. I said, I'm not really sure about him. He dropped a lot of interceptions. He was targeted a little bit. But this past season, he actually showed up. He played better in a better system, and I think that's what helped him. And I was on the fence about him. I was like, this do or die year for him. I didn't think he was going to do well, but he played pretty good. Offenses didn't game plan against him too much, so I feel like that's respectable enough for me. He wasn't targeted a lot, and he really handled business in the backfield. So I give TREVON MOEHRIG, I give him at least maybe a B-. B-. That's a good draft pick.
All right. So with MOEHRIG, like I highlighted, I was actually looking at him as well as a lot of people were hoping that we'd get him in round 1. To get him in round 2, we all thought that was a steal of a pick. Like I highlighted, we were looking for a center fielder for the longest time, and at safety and college, he was the best at that kind of role coming out of that year's draft class. Year 1, I thought he did very well the first 2/3 of the season. I didn't notice him getting beat, which means he was doing his job. Teams weren't testing him, so to say. The last third of the season, I can remember the moment where it started to go downhill for MOEHRIG was, remember that Washington game where he dropped what should have been the game-winning pick on that final drive right through his hands, to your point, Ont6. And then we ended up losing that game, unfortunately. His his play took a dip after that. I remember starting to notice him making some glaringly bad mistakes. Granted, he's a rookie. One in particular, I can't remember who it was. It was a later game in the year where one of the teams threw it deep. I believe it was against the Colts, and Casey Hayward was there, right in position to intercept the ball. This is like 2 yards out from their end zone. Hayward was there waiting on the ball. He was, making his tea, cooking some breakfast, just waiting for this ball to come to him, having his hands up in the air. And then all of a sudden, MOEHRIG comes out of nowhere. Granted, he was trying to make a play, but crashed right into him. The ball bounced off both of them into the end zone. There was, I can't remember who it was, one of the opposition players. Thank you very much. Touchdown.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it was bad. I think we ended up winning that game, but regardless, it was an ugly rep. And then year 2, he took another dip in his play, and it was very disappointing. However, year 3, like I said, 3 seasons deep is when you show whether you got it or you don't. And MOEHRIG had a bounce back to form this season, proving to be, or to me, that he is the player that I was hoping that he would turn out to be. And he still should be getting better. I mean, last season, look at the stats. I mean, 8 pass deflections. How many interceptions did he get? He got 3 last season, and 2 sacks. So how many tackles did he get? So 83 combined tackles. So I thought that was really good production, and I didn't notice him getting beat too often, if at all. So for me personally, he did his job, as well as Marcus Epps. I thought they were quite a good tandem with at the safety as a duo. But in terms of grade, for where we got him and what he's produced, what say you guys? What say you on 6 in chat? What was your grade on 6?
I would have to agree with Solo. He said a B minus. I'm gonna be a little more generous and just give him a solid B and stuff. You know what I mean? But I agree with Solo. What about you, Afakasi?
Oh, probably last season alone, I'd give him a B. But B minus, I'm willing to rock with that.
Okay.
What say you guys? B minus in chat? Does that sound like a fair range to you? B minus?
Yeah, that's what Solo said. So yeah.
Plus the fact we got him in the second round when he was pegged to go in the first round. I think it was because of injury he slipped. But yeah, we'll go B minus. A lot of people in the chat are saying C, C plus. But I think B minus is a fair range for Mr. MOEHRIG.
And he had 2 coordinators he had to deal with Gus Bradley and Patrick Graham. So I mean, for him to make the adjustments he made, I think he played pretty good. And playing through injuries, man. So yeah, he's tough, man.
All right, well, we'll stick him there for now, but chat seems to give him a C. C plus. All right, we're going to move on to our third round now, where we had 2 selections. Now, our first one in round 3, we were looking for, we drafted him to be at the time a depth guy. We could be a project guy we could develop as a defensive end / outside linebacker from the same college that the great Khalil Mack went to. And that is Malcolm KOONCE, defensive end, pick 79. So, Ont6, you want to go first?
Yeah, when we drafted KOONCE, I was excited because he was the highest drafted player coming out of Buffalo since Khalil Mack. You know what I mean? And there was a little shades of Khalil Mack in him. You know what I mean? Just with his relentlessness and how he comes off the edge. He had a lot of work. That's why he was there and where we're drafting him at. But he really didn't produce his really off the bat until this last year.
Mm-hmm.
But he was always one of them players that always had it, but I don't know why he was in Josh McDaniels' doghouse. But once he was gone, everybody knows what he did. And if he keeps this up, he's going to be tandem with Max Crosby for the next couple of years. And great from where we drafted and the potential he has now, I'm probably going to give this a C plus.
C plus. Cool, Kev. Salute to you. KOONCE pay him $35 million before he asked for $55 million in 2 years. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'll go next if you want, Solo.
Yeah,
so with
cool.
KOONCE, like, I remember when we drafted him, I thought that he was a project guy. And salute to Joe. Joe's just joined the panel. Good to see you, my friend. just move myself up there.
What's up, guys?
So with KOONCE, my expectation when we drafted him was, all right, we're going to have to develop this guy. Maybe someday, at best, I saw him being like a Benson Mayowa type deal, where a rotational defensive end that could come in and get some sacks here and there. And that for me was his ceiling. Now, his first 2 seasons, whenever I saw him take the field, I never questioned his motor. I could always see it. He's always given effort, like he's always trying to do his best and giving his all. But he wasn't getting that many snaps, especially when McDaniels took over. And I remember when McDaniels took over as coach in his second season, he wasn't barely seeing the field, maybe special teams. And there was 2 moments for me that kind of gave me the conclusion that he was in McDaniels' doghouse, to go with the fact that he wasn't getting game time despite the effort not being there. The first red flag was in preseason that year. Do you remember the footage where they had footage of training camp drills and he accidentally hit Derek Carr, who was wearing the red shirt?
Yeah.
And McDaniels chewed him out. And then Malcolm KOONCE kind of walked away and went like this. And McDaniels ended up seeing it and turning around and being like, and don't give me that fucking look or whatever. He says something like that. You know what I mean? I was like, okay. Just the way he said it was like, you can tell the undertones to it. You know what I mean? And then later that year, when we played the Chiefs, a game we were right in it and we only lost at the death, but we only lost by, I think, 2 points, I believe. Well, whatever it might be. Anyways, on a 4th down drive, the Chiefs were going for a field goal. And the field goal ended up missing or being blocked or something like that. Anyways, the Raiders got flagged, and it was because of Malcolm KOONCE. Apparently, he was called for offside, which, when you watch the footage, turned out to be the wrong call. And they ended up like going on and scoring a touchdown that drive, which would end up being the game-winning score. So it cost us dearly. So back to Malcolm KOONCE. Now, I remember after that said penalty, he went to the sideline and he's pleading his case with McDaniels. Like, you can see it on the. I never forgot this. I remember seeing the footage live when he goes to McDaniels. He's pleading his case. He's like, I didn't do anything. It wasn't me. And McDaniels didn't even look at him. He just said, "No, fuck off. I don't want to hear it. Go away." You know what I'm saying? So KOONCE kind of just, had his head down, walked away, and I don't know, man. It just seems so glaringly obvious. KOONCE just wasn't his guy, even going into this season. But anyways, the last season that just transpired, Chandler Jones. We all know what happened with him. He had a meltdown of epic proportions with his mental health and that. So it opened the door for that other side to be open and for somebody to hopefully emerge, maybe Tyree Wilson or him, to be that guy to partner with Max Crosby, because we all know what Max Crosby can do. He's one of the all-elite players of the league, but we needed the Robin to his Batman. Now, Malcolm KOONCE at the start of the season, again, it was more of the same, a lot of effort, a lot of motor, but like he had the Arden Key kind of effect. You remember that? Like it would always seem like almost there, but just not quite. Like he'd hit the quarterback or he'd almost get there, but he just wouldn't finish. Antonio Pierce would take over, and it was like Malcolm KOONCE's coming out party. All of a sudden, this guy's getting sacks. This guy's causing all kinds of disruption. He's causing fumbles for recoveries for a touchdown. Remember that against the Chargers, where he blasted Herbert in the back, and then it was Jenkins who took it to the end zone for a touchdown. He ended up finishing the season with 8 sacks, and I don't believe he got one of them until like midway through the season. So for me, Malcolm KOONCE to have his coming out party, to be drafted in round 3, and to prove that he's actually a really good player, and hopefully we found our Robin to Max Crosby's Batman for years to come, and exceeding my expectations, because I didn't think he would be a solidified starter, but he proved that he can do it, and I believe he's only trending upwards. I would give him maybe a B-, being that he didn't do much in his first 2 seasons, but his 3rd season alone, like I'd probably go maybe B+, A-, but I would go B-. But anyways, I'll go with you next, Raider Joe, and then maybe you, Solo.
That's cool.
I would agree with B-. I think a lot of times, man, we're pretty critical on our guys. I think we kind of I think we kind of anticipate overnight success, but if you look at guys like Colton Miller and stuff like that, man, it wasn't instant, but it did pay off in the long run. So I feel like he's on his way, man. He's on his way, and yeah, you're right, man. Like his first 2 seasons weren't great. I think McDaniels, to be honest with you, he might have wrote him off anyways, just because he was a Gruden guy. But hey, man, he's picking up in year 3. 3 times the charm is what they say. So
For sure. Solo.
Man, I agree with everybody, man. But I want to start this takeoff by saying, fuck Josh McDaniels, man. Really? Listen, man. Fuck that dude, man. Listen, I think KOONCE was just a diamond in the rough, man. And it really takes the right coach to bring that out of a player, you know, because he really wasn't getting the snaps. We all seen the potential, you know. He went through his time with McDaniels and, you know, was in the doghouse for the things that he did in practice with Derek Carr. All that stuff is factual. So I'm just glad that we have a coach in AP who can get the best out of these players. But KOONCE really stepped up this season, did a lot that I didn't expect him to do. He did more than what we all probably expected. So, man, I'm just glad to see him actually producing now, getting sacks, making plays. And I'm excited to see what he does this upcoming season. So, being that he was a 3rd-round draft pick, and the production that we're getting from him, I'm going to give him a C+.
C+?
Only because, you know, I need to see more. He had a good season this season, but I just want to see more. And from what we've seen out of his production this season, I give him a C+.
Nice. Before we give out grades, what say you about that comment there, Ont6?
Yeah,
you collect cards. Let's link up. I've been collecting since the 80s and 90s.
Nah, for sure, Leon. If anything, hit me up on my IG. I'll show you some of my cards in my collection, brother. If one of the monitors can just drop my IG in the chat, I appreciate it.
That'd be interesting. I'd love to see you guys do a box break on live. That'd be what's up. I'd be into that.
yeah.
All right, but anyways, all right. I gave B-. What did you say, Solo?
I give him a C+.
Joe?
I initially said B-, but I guess I'll just go B.
B? And
B.
Ont6.
I definitely have to say a C+ for me, just because he wasn't really productive his first 2 years, even though he had a breakout year this season. But like Solo says, I just want to see more of it.
All right. So it seems like majority are saying C+. I gave B-. Joe, you said B. So I guess C+, guys?
Sure.
Yeah.
Tribe has spoken. All right. Give me my.
The tribe has spoken.
All right. So C+. But he's only trending upwards, right?
Yeah, for sure.
He's trending upwards with the hip-hop happenings.
Hip-hop happenings. Ain't that right, Raider Joe? And that's a little dig at me, Joe. Shut up. Nah, that's my dude. All right. We'll go to our next one. So round 3, pick 80. We took a guy who was actually a safety in college, but we transitioned him over. Again, another one of these project guys. We seem to, instead of just drafting a linebacker to play linebacker who played linebacker in college, we tend to go the route with trying to turn this guy from safety or secondary to linebacker. We did that in years past with guys like Tanner Muse, with guys like Nick Moore, who was okay for a minute. What's that, man?
The special teams war daddy.
The special teams war daddy. Huh. Say no more. But anyways, Divine Diablo, a project guy who had actually, in my opinion, again, had a 3rd-year jump. And I thought he was fairly productive and was a good piece to go alongside Robert Spillane, and Nate Hobbs, who would take over as that money backer, the cornerback / linebacker, box kind of guy. But what about you, Raider Joe? You wanna shoot first with Diablo?
Yeah,
Salute to the Snips and we the people.
You're right. He was a safety, and then we converted him to linebacker. But I remember when we drafted him, a lot of people were like, he's going to have to put on size, so on and so forth. And now in year 3, I think he's relatively the same stature, same weight and everything. But, I mean, it's kind of like KOONCE. You know, he didn't really have much, success his first 2 seasons. But it seems like things are picking up now from what I remember. I think it was a little overshadowed, I think, by guys like Spillane and stuff that just were getting turnovers and stuff and winning games. But he's definitely doing a lot better from what I remember. You know what I mean? I haven't gone back and looked at film or nothing, but I definitely don't remember anything negative about this season for him. So yeah, man, another one, like 3 times the charm. You know what I mean? Like I said with KOONCE. If I had to grade, sorry, my bad. If I had to grade, I would say C, just based on the like you say, he's trending upward as opposed to his first 2 seasons.
Gotcha. I'll go next. So with Diablo, his first 2 seasons were developmental years. I mean, we guessed as much, being that like he was a transition guy from safety to linebacker, which I highlighted. We tried for many years doing that kind of thing, and it just usually doesn't pan out. However, with Diablo, he was showing little bits of progression year 1, year 2, but he seemed like he was always getting hurt, so he wasn't getting much opportunity outside of special teams. Then come year 3, he was pegged to start alongside Robert Spillane. And for me, I remember thinking last season the linebacker room was a glaring area of weakness, being that we had no proven starter. Even Spillane, like, I didn't think he'd proven it from the little bit I'd seen from his time at the Steelers. Granted, he did okay over there. However, Spillane definitely exceeded my expectation. And I feel like Diablo stepped up. I mean, when you look at his stat count, 106 combined tackles, 1 sack, and 1 fumble recovery, 2 pass deflections. I remember one of them being a really good one. And I felt he did his part. Like, I remember seeing him flying. He had good sideline to sideline speed. I thought he was making some plays and getting to the point of attack pretty well. And I felt like he'd shown enough progression to earn that starting job alongside of Spillane. And I think he did a decent enough job. So from where we picked him for the production he's given us, I would probably go around that C+, B- range. And I thought he's turned out to be a decent player after all. So I'm pretty happy with Divine Diablo and where we picked him. But who wants to go next? Solo or Ont6?
I'll go last. Go ahead, Solo.
Cool, man. Divine
Good
Diablo.
comment there, Cheetah.
Diablo. The injuries, I think, kind of crippled his production. So no pun intended, but his injuries kind of held him back, and I feel like Spillane really did take on that position and actually produce. And Diablo, hasn't had a lot of reps, so from what we've been seeing recently, he's been playing better. But in my opinion, I don't think he can stay healthy. And I know every player can't be elite. We can't get elite players in every position.
Right.
But truly, if we're grading players, we got to grade them for what they do and what they show on the field. Diablo,
And where we pick him.
he makes great plays sometimes, but sometimes he doesn't. And I just don't know how can I grade a guy if he's not on the field as much. So, but from what I've seen on the field, man, I have to give him a C flat, because he's not a bad player. He just got to stay healthy, man.
for sure. You know, that's a good point. Like, I mean, not every player can be superstars. We just need good players that can solidify that spot. And, you know, for where we drafted him 3rd round and for doing that and for the most part doing a decent enough job is why I said what I said. But Ont6, what say you, man? Sorry, if I can just read this comment out real quickly. Sorry, Ont6. C+ from Space Beast. He's starting quality. Linebacker's really tough to get right. He's trending upward, but I'd still like to replace him. Well, there's a lot of other fans who are on that same chain of thought, but I think he does a decent enough job. But anyways, Ont6, my bad. Go ahead.
I mean, I agree with all you guys. I'm just gonna say I'm just gonna give him a C. He's played decent, you know what I mean, especially in his first starting year. He hasn't really made enough big splash plays, but for me, I'm just gonna give him a C. I would like to see a lot more from him because I see the potential is there, but I just want to see it on a more consistent basis. For me personally, I'm just gonna give him a C for now. He's been average for me.
All right, so you give him a C. What did you give him, Raider Joe?
C.
C. What was your grade, Solar?
Yeah, definitely a C.
All right,
Leo
we'll
said,
go
like
with
his
that.
name. He said,
Yeah,
I like his name more than his play.
I like his name too. I would give him a C+, but it seems like you in the chat seem to agree C. So we'll stick him up. If I can zoom out a little bit, we'll go up to solid C. Fair?
That's fair.
But he's much like KOONCE. These 3 guys are all trending upwards, which is good to see, and they're still all very young, and they have their 4th-year options next year. So, yeah. All right. So, our next pick that year, round 4 out of Missouri, we took another flyer on a safety, and that was TYREE Gillespie, who I remember seeing a little bit of tape, and he looked like a sure tackler. With MOEHRIG being the center fielder guy, this guy seemed like he was more the guy who can kind of make the tackles and get in the box a little bit. Lasted 2 preseasons, then we cut bait with him. I think he bounced around. I think he was on the Chiefs practice squad for a minute, but not too sure if he's still there, so he might be out of the league.
Yeah, he was with the Chiefs.
So yeah, TYREE. What's that, man?
I said he was with the Chiefs last. So
I got you, Joe. All right, he's going to situate himself before we bring him back. Gillespie was disappointing. He got outplayed in his 2nd preseason with us, and we cut bait. I remember he was a guy who a lot of people were hyping up in the preseason, saying he was going to do this, that, and the 3rd. And I don't know, man. I just didn't see it, and sure enough, it proved to be warranted. I don't know. Yeah, I'd go F, D minus, being that he's a round 4 guy. Didn't really see any regular season outside of special teams. But what say you, Ont6? You want to go next?
Yeah, this is one of them picks that when I remembered, they were saying, "Oh, the Raiders finally solved their tight end woes. They can finally have a player that can line up in the box and go one-on-one and cover tight ends. Their woes are all gone and shit." You know what I mean? And the thing is, too, like my boy Leon said, like, what happened to that dude? Like, what the fuck did he do? Like, Larry, what did he do? I don't remember any highlights or anything. I just remember him fucking being all hype from college and never did a goddamn thing for us. So he did it a little bit better than Leatherwood because he was actually here during his whole rookie contract, but that ain't really saying much. So I'm just gonna give him a D minus and just move on to the next player because I don't really have nothing to say.
Fair enough. Just before I move to you, Solo, Joe's just going to get himself situated, so he might be able to bounce back. But if he doesn't, thanks for pulling up to the stream. Remember Gillespie was battling it out with Polomau, who we brought in as a UDFA in 2022, and Polomau actually took his job as that backup guy, and he's actually done a decent enough job as a rotational safety slash box safety slash special teamers. But what say you about Gillespie, Solo?
Man, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Don't have a lot of memory about him because he never did shit.
Thank you.
Just before you go on, Solo,
Yeah.
I just had a look. No tackles, so he has no stat with
That's
us.
what I said. He never did shit. So, you know where this grade is going. It's real simple. Guys like this, waste of a draft pick, another pick wasted, straight down the drain. No production, no nothing. Another wasted pick, man. F-. I agree with everybody in the chat.
Fair enough. And just these comments here. Cool Kev. Gillespie got caught in the numbers game. Didn't get a chance to prove himself. Well, he did, but he got outplayed in preseason by Polymel, like I highlighted, and he ended up being cut bait and going to the Chiefs practice squad. And I don't think he's still in the league. I don't think he's in the league anymore. Maybe a practice squad guy. I don't know. You going to say something, Sol?
Oh no, man. I'm just saying. Yeah, he had his chance, man. He had a fair chance in preseason, and
had his chance.
Once you get beat out by an undrafted player, you just it's all downhill for you.
Yeah, it's a wrap. And that's no shade on Polymel, because he actually done pretty well preseason and during the regular season. He made some impact plays. So shout out to him for sure. And so is Cheeto. I'm good with Oos taking his job. And J-Dub, I know J-Dub would like him. Polymel deserves a real chance at either safety position. Yeah, he's done well. I believe we've got a good enough duo starting, but as a rotational guy who can play box, I like Polymel.
Yeah, he looked good.
I thought he was with the Titans, maybe, but I know he was I'm pretty sure he was on the Chiefs practice squad for a while. And Space Beast, F for freaking Gruden. No show for Gillespie. All right, so I think the chat is spoken. So you said F. Ont6, you said F or D minus?
No, I said D minus because he actually played out his rookie contract with us, but that ain't really saying shit.
You mean his rookie year?
Yeah.
I was leaning to D minus because at least he made 2 preseasons as a 4th round guy. But when I look at like the fact that he hasn't even got 1 stat with the Raiders or in the NFL as a whole, yeah, F. You're down.
That's an automatic F.
Right. Nada.
No shade, but that's just the facts, man. You gotta grade off what the production is, and there is no production.
Nada. Not a single one. Seg. Oh boy. Oh well. Well, at least it's going to go upwards from here, because in round 5 that year, from Illinois, we drafted a guy I hadn't heard of. Not many people had heard of.
Nope.
Cornerback Nate Hobbs. Who wants to go first with old mate Nate?
Go ahead, Solo.
Man, what a great player, man. I mean, I didn't see it coming. I didn't know who Nate Hobbs was. I was just happy he was a Raider. I'm always for the drafted players, and I give them a chance until they don't show what they could do. And Nate Hobbs, man, he's a tough player, bro. I mean, you couldn't ask for more than this. I mean, makes tackles, locks down great players. He's a great player in the secondary, man. I mean, I'm glad we got him, because for us to get him in that round and to see him produce the way he is, the 49ers wanted him this season. They tried to take him from us. So that says a lot, man.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they wanted him. They wanted to make a trade. Now he has an injury problem too sometimes. So I gotta, keep it real. His injury problems are a little worrisome sometimes, but man, for the most part, this dude is producing, man. He makes plays and he makes it happen. He makes great tackles. So,
he's a good tackle.
Love this. I'm glad he's a Raider. I love this guy, man. I'm gonna give him a B+.
I love it. All right, Ont6, I'll go next. I'll just read out this comment here. So Jack Jones is greater than Nate Hobbs. I can agree with you on that. Jack Jones, I believe, is going to be the next great cornerback with what I've seen, and he's only trending upwards if he keeps his head screwed on. And Antonio Pierce is the right guy to keep him in check, but I really love what I see from Jack Jones. But that's no shade on Nate Hobbs. Now, with Nate Hobbs, like I said, I hadn't heard of the guy, being that we drafted him in the 5th round, which is late in the draft. But I remember seeing him in preseason 2021, and he was actually the highest graded cornerback of any corner that played preseason, I think, for the amount of snaps and the amount of game time he got. And he was making plays all over the place. So, yeah, he was my MVP for the 2021 preseason. His rookie season, he took over the nickel job, which was a job that we tried and tried and tried to put in guys for the last 11, 12 years. Guys like, who was that guy that came over from the Rams? What was it? What was his name? The safety? Remember we signed Corey Littleton and the other guy. The name escapes me.
Oh, fuck.
Chat, can you help me out? Who was that safety we got from the Rams who was safety, and we tried to have him at nickel? Yeah, I know. It's woo.
I forgot.
Corey Littleton? Corey Littleton?
No. It wasn't Littleton. Littleton was the linebacker, but we signed another guy that season or 2020 to be the nickel guy, and he just didn't pan out. But we had that guy. We had TJ Carey. We even had DJ Hayden try up at that nickel spot. And these guys just didn't. Joyner, that's it. LaMarcus Joyner. That's the one.
That Mike's
shout out to We the People and Space Beast. So we tried for the last 13, 14 years, and we just couldn't find the guy who could solidify that nickel spot. We had like slot receivers running all over the place and catching balls left, right, and center. I was getting over it. However, Nate Hobbs' first rookie season, or his rookie season with us, like he showed that he is that guy at the nickel spot, and he played well beyond my expectations, and he made that job his own. So I was really pleased with his rookie year, and I thought we'd found our nickel guy for years to come. Year 2, he suffered the injury bug, and then he was out for the most part, but then due to injury, we put him on the outside to start, and it just wasn't going as well as when he was nickel, which I didn't want. I didn't want him to leave in the first place. I felt like if it ain't broke, why fix it? Like, he thrives at that nickel role. We've been looking for a guy to solidify that job, so why not keep him there? But anyways, that's how his second season went. A little disappointing, but year 3, a return to form. We had him, like a lot of people were saying, that we were going to have Polymau as that third safety / money backer type role, being that box guy if we're going to play predominantly nickel sets, which we did. But it wasn't him. It was Nate Hobbs who returned to the nickel spot. Again, a position he thrives, and he proved yet again for me that is his job. And that's where he gets it done. And it, not just like from a pass coverage perspective, I thought he did a very good job in terms of his tackling and staying in the box. He got off his blocks pretty good for a guy as a secondary player, as well as run support. I thought he was really good in that area. He got some sacks too. I'm just going to see how many sacks he got. So he got 1 sack last year, but he got 6 tackles for a loss. So he was doing his job up in that box. I thought he did very well to go alongside in his time as a Raider, 2 interceptions and 167 tackles. So he's made some tackles. And for where we got him, for what he's done, and the fact he's only trending upwards, and I believe he's a core piece for that young secondary that we have to go alongside Jack Jones being the outside guy. I think we're still looking for another outside guy. Maybe Bennett can be him. I don't know. We'll see. Or if we draft a guy free agent. And Amik Robertson, I believe, still has a role with this team, being that dime guy. I think he does that well, as well as nickel. He does well enough. I would go B plus for the value we got getting him in round 5. But what say you Ont6?
Me personally, I was a little surprised when we drafted him because I never heard of the guy, I'm going to be honest. But what I do remember when we drafted him, when they put his highlights up there, his college coach was Lovie Smith. Everybody knows who Lovie Smith is, the great Bears coach that led him to the Super Bowl. But the thing that tripped me out too, he said that was the best corner he ever taught next to Peanut Tillman. You know what I mean? So that had to say a lot to me. That was a little eye-opening when he said that. But Nate Hobbs is a slot corner. I don't understand why we put him at outside. You know what I mean? When he's in the slot, he's one of the best slot corners in the league. That's why this offseason, I think, is very important for us to go get another outside corner, to let Jack Jones and the other outside corner and put Nate Hobbs in this corner, slot corner, and go from there. But overall, when we got him to the production and with everything he's done for us, I totally agree. I'll give this pick a B plus.
B plus. All right. So I said B plus B. Solo, what'd you say?
B plus, man. I seem like we all on the same page, man.
All right, chat. We're happy with B plus. I don't know if you want to give out your grades, but we'll chuck them at B plus. So once again, like, say what you will about the Mayock Gruden era, they got it for the most part horribly wrong with their first rounders, but middle to late, I think they got it right with a lot of their guys who are still on our roster. So
yeah, they
Nate
made
Hobbs,
up.
another guy we hit it out of the ballpark with, picking late, so B+. You guys agree?
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. So the last official pick from that season, this was the first season where Andre James had taken over. We'd moved on from Rodney Hudson. Thank you for your services. A great Raider, one of the best centers we've ever had, and up until we jettisoned him to free agency, had given us a lot of good service and was one of the better, if not the best, center in the league. Andre James took over, who was still unproven at that point, but we rolled with him. Results had been mixed, but we did draft another center that year, and that was Jimmy Morrissey out of Pitt, a guy who I thought in preseason 2021, when I saw him take the field, I thought he did pretty well. And I thought maybe we could keep him around as a backup guy at the very least. At the bare minimum, a practice squad guy. But I didn't think after watching his play in preseason 2021, he was going to last that long. I thought he was going to get snapped up. And I think it was, shout out to Chris from Protect the Shield, brought it to my attention that he was snapped up the very next day. We tried to stash him on the practice squad. So I thought would be the case with Jimmy Morrissey. A 7th round guy who's still in the league. He started a few games at Houston. I think he's now on the Giants roster as a depth guy. But I personally, I would go down here in the non-applicable. I can't give him a fair grade, being that I'm only grading what they did for us. And the guy is still in the league, a 7th rounder, has started some games, and I thought he's a good depth guy. But the grading system we're doing is strictly what they did as Raiders. So I think a fair range for me would be non-applicable. But Ont6, you want to go next?
Yeah, I remember. I completely agree with everything you said because he never even took a snap for us. It just really pissed me off when the Houston Texans stole him off a practice squad, and not even a month later, he's over there starting center for them for the rest of the season. And that shit really pissed me off. But just goes to show you that you could find talent and starters anywhere in the draft, even in the 7th round. So just with you, there's nothing really we can grade him on, and no snap. So we're gonna have to go with a non-applicable on this one.
Non-applicable.
Sorry, I don't have a master's degree like someone.
Right. Or an A for English and grammar.
For real.
Anyway.
I can't spell Devontae Adams right either, but whatever.
Say no more. But yeah, disappointing we didn't keep Morrissey around. But he's still bouncing the league. And you said it best, like you can still find talent in the 7th round. I mean, Thayer Mumford was a 7th round guy. He's, I think, probably one of the best 7th rounders we've had. As well as TJ Carey. I don't know if you guys remember him. I thought he was really good as a 7th round guy. So talent can be found in the 7th round. And I still have hopes for our last year's 7th rounders in Nestor Silvera. And who was the other guy we drafted 7th round last year?
Fucking I totally forgot. I'm drawing the blank right now.
All right, someone can help us out in the chat. But what say you, Solo, about Jimmy Morrissey?
Yeah, he's a player that we could have had, should have had, but
Okay.
man, never seen him in a Raiders uniform. So I mean, sucks to lose a decent player, but man, I don't know too much about him. So man, I can't grade him. I can't give too much input on him because I don't have any familiar information about him. So didn't even see him in the preseason. I don't know, man. I'm not a fond of that position, so I don't know. I ain't really into that. So, but 7th rounder, I don't know, man. NA. That's the only grade I can give him.
For sure. So Alfredo says Benet. I just had a look. So we only had one 7th rounder. So that was Nestor Silvera. Benet was in the 6th round, I believe. But I still have hopes for him to, I don't know, crack the roster, do something, but we'll see. But it goes back to my point. Talent can still be found in the 7th round. Mumford being a prime example. But in terms of Jimmy Morrissey, I think that's a fair grade for him. He's still in the league, but didn't get an opportunity to showcase what he could do for us. And Space Beast, it is amazing we have made it through the wasteland of bad picks, bad coaching, but at least us diehard Raiders are still here for the rebellion. Great comment there, Space Beast. And again, I'm going to be excited to see what this regime, a lot more excited than our last regime did in terms of free agency and the draft. It's going to be exciting times coming up in the next few weeks and months to come. So, yeah. And J-Dub, Gruden drafted Crosby, a future Hall of Famer, in 4 years. Some coaches never draft a good starter. Yeah, look, like I highlighted, say what you will about their first rounders, like we had for the most part disastrous results, but we did find some guys mid to late in the draft under his regime. So salute to them.
You got Jacobs, Renfro.
Jacobs, Renfro, Raider Joe is back. So Jacobs, Renfro, and names that stick out. Nate Hobbs is another guy. And all these guys we're talking about now. So, you know, he has found talent.
Yeah. Gruden.
Before we move on, since you just came back, Joe, do you want to give your thoughts on did you get to grade Hobbs?
No, but if I do say so, I would say A.
Okay, so A for Hobbs. What about TYREE Gillespie?
I don't really remember much of him. So I don't know if it's fair, but I'll just say D.
That's fair. And Jimmy Morrissey, non-applicable.
Who?
I had a feeling you were going to say that. Who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah.
All right, we'll leave him in
No
non-applicable.
disrespect to him, man, but damn, I don't even know who that is.
All right, and they're talking about Benet. Benet couldn't cover a plate. Benet was from the McShitnuts regime. Well, the jury's still out in the last two draft classes from the last regime, which we will get into in later years, but they still have their chance to develop. Like I said, 3 seasons is when you know what a player is. You get concessions for your 2 seasons. So they've only had 1 or 2 seasons, respectively, the last 2 draft classes from the last regime, but we'll get into that in a later date. But we'll finish it off with the undrafted free agents. So that's part of the draft process for me, is finding guys who didn't get drafted and then seeing if they can at least crack the practice squad, make the roster as a role player, or even start. You know what I mean? It's not outside the realm of possibility, even though it's an uphill battle, but the possibilities are there. I mean, in 2019, just to give you perspective, we found AJ Cole, our all-pro punter. We signed Alec Ingold, who was a very good fullback for us up until we moved on from him. Who else? Shit, I'm drawing a blank. What's his name? The center. Andre James. He was also from the UDFA class. And there was a few other names escaped me. I think Lester Cotton, Keelan Cole, Keyshawn Nixon, who's now who would have thought an all-pro kick returner goes to another team and just figures it out, right? A position we didn't even try him at. So it's not outside of the possibility of finding guys in the UDFA realm. But for that particular year, I'll just give you the names of some of the more relevant guys that we signed. So Dylan Stoner, everyone's favorite player from the UDFA class, for obvious reasons. Trey Ragus, who was the all-star, kind of had the Chris Warren effect, but didn't manage to stay on our roster and didn't see the regular season. I don't think he's in the league anymore. Darius Stills is another guy, an interior guy who got a little bit of height, but I think he's either on a practice squad or I think maybe in the CFL, I believe. Devery Hamilton, a guy you probably haven't heard of, but Hamilton actually, when we cut him, he's gone on to play, I believe he's with the Ravens, and he's actually started a few games for them. So that's a guy who's been able to make an impact. Matt Bushman, a tight end who was getting a bit of hype that year. Some were saying he was better than Foster Moreau. Same guy who said Khalil Mack's not a Hall of Famer or a Chandler Jones. Yeah, okay. Hasn't had a stat in the regular season and is on the Chiefs practice squad. Never saw the field for us. And TJ Morrison, a guy who is now playing in Europe, in the European League. I think he's with the European football champions there. But anyways, the only relevant piece that's still on our roster is DJ Turner, a guy I spoke of his first season coming over from us, and I thought he made quite a good impact, especially in 2022's preseason. I remember he took one really nice catch and run for a touchdown and showed off his speed. He was giving me shades of Jacoby Ford with the way he's built and just that size and speed. It was giving me shades of him, but he didn't really make an impact at wide receiver, and he still hasn't. He hasn't really had his opportunities. However, where he did make his impact, I don't know if you guys noticed the way I did, was he got a lot of game time, especially this season, as that special teams gunner. Now, the gunner is the guy who's on the outside, who flies down the field, tries to get off his blocks, and is usually the first or second guy who is there to make the tackle if they catch the ball and try to make a play instead of just doing a fair catch. And for me, I thought he did a fantastic job at that role. Like, I remember seeing him always being the first one there, making the tackle, and usually making his tackles and not really giving them a chance to run upfield for a big gain. One particular time, and you guys will remember this now, in that Chargers game, where he flew down the field, caused the fumble, they recovered, and they end up scoring a touchdown. I think not on the recovery, but on that very drive when he secured the ball back. But from what I saw last year, I'm willing to go as far as to say he is the best gunner we've had on our roster since the days of Tywan Jones, Tywan Jones was in the league for a good 11, 12 years. I think he was still in the league after we drafted him up until last season. So there's a role for that. If he can't make an impact as a starter or someone who sees the field as a rotational guy, if you can make an impact on special teams, then that's going to keep you on a roster for a long time. I like a highlight with Tywan Jones, and I believe DJ Turner maybe might not get his chance at wide receiver, maybe might not get his chance as a returner, even though I think he can do that. But as a special team gunner, I think he's second to none. But what say you guys?
I can't really say much after that assessment. You're pretty detailed with that, man. To be honest with you, I didn't even notice any of that. You know what I mean? So that was dope.
Not many people did. I did.
I mean, hey, he's still on the roster for a reason, right?
Yeah.
So just based on that, I haven't really paid too much attention, like my guy here, AR, but I'll take his word for it. And like I said, the fact that he is still on the roster, I would say at least maybe a B minus, C plus, somewhere in that ballpark.
For Turner alone, I would give him that, but as only getting one guy from that UDFA class, this is what I'm grading on. That's still on our
you're
roster.
grading the whole class. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
Being that there's one guy, what say you?
Yeah, no, that's pretty bad numbers. I would say just because there's one guy, I would give it a D minus.
Solo?
Yeah, I'll have to agree. One guy being a standout amongst all of them, probably a D minus. And Turner, I thought he was just a receiver. I never knew he was coming down making tackles on special teams. But that's dope, man. Like you said, if he's still on the roster, he made it for a reason. So yeah, but overall, yeah, D minus, man, because one player standing out amongst the rest, that's self-explanatory, man.
Facts.
Ont6.
I mean, you did. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm happy we got DJ Turner, but for you to only find a special teams gunner out of all the undrafted talent, you know what I mean? I totally agree with you and with the D minus. So you know what I mean? I appreciate everything done. You know what I mean? He can be here lots of years, keep doing what he's doing, but it's just pretty sad that all we found was a gunner out of everything. So I totally agree with you guys with the D minus.
It's kind of like that scene in Training Day where he's like, "You mean to tell me you were out in the field with a fine bitch for a year, and the most entertaining story you have to tell me is a DUI stop?"
That's fair. I see the chatter talking about the great fullbacks. Yeah, we have had a history, even though since my time as a fan, like I'm a big Marcel Reese fan, 4-time Pro Bowler, one of the best fullbacks in the league for the last 20 years, could do it all, and a very good Raider. you know, Crockett, Van Egan, Richie, those were before my time, but Al Ingold was another one.
Ingold was
who
my
was the last fullback we had? Not quite a Swiss Army knife like those other guys, but one of the best, if not the best, fullback, run blocking fullback we've had, or in the league in general. Who's the fullback we got now?
Jacob.
That's it, Jacob Johnson. Jacob Johnson. Yeah, Jameez Olawale, another guy who I liked. When Marcel Reese went down to injury, or when we moved on from him, Olawale was actually pretty good for a minute. I think he did well at his job and was a good transitional guy from when we moved on from Marcel Reese. And we also had that guy, what was it, Keith Smith, for a little bit, more of a run blocking fullback, not really that good, but whatever. But the fullbacks have been a point of strength for the most part for the last decade or so. And another guy, I think, Manasseh Tonga, before Marcel Reese. I don't know if you guys remember that guy, but anyways. Well, we'll get back to this. So you said D-. Ont6, did you get to have a take? Can't remember.
Yeah, I already talked. I said D- as well.
All right. So we'll chuck it in D-, being that DJ Turner's the only guy who's still on our roster making an impact. And I just want to highlight, let this be a cautionary tale for a lot of people, because there's a lot of people during the draft process afterwards who hype up this UDFA and hype up that UDFA and said, oh, he's going to do this, he's going to be a starter, he's going to be this great player, blah, 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 blah. They're undrafted free agents.
Right.
They're lucky to see the field as a rotational guy, let alone a special teamer. Even the practice squad is usually where they stay and try to develop. And if they can be any more than that, cool. But they're UDFAs for a reason. So
yeah,
try not to fall in love and try not to overhype these guys too much, because for the most part, they don't really amount to anything. Anyway,
I will say the best UDFA that we have right now is probably Spillane, right? Because he was undrafted, wasn't he?
Right. It's not outside the realm of possibility to make an impact as a UDFA. I mean, I already highlighted the guys we got for 2019, which I would give that UDFA class an A. And Masterson, a rotational guy who can make some. I mean, he's my guy. I think he does well, being a roster guy. So, you know, it can happen. I'm just saying, for the most part, these UDFAs, Sincere McCormack, apparently the next coming of Bo Jackson, being a prime example who garners a lot of hype. What's he done? Nada.
Well, in my opinion, Hunter Lupke is generational talent. So,
first of all, in my opinion, C.O. Moore was the greatest defensive tackle in Raider history. What are you guys talking about?
I thought it was Greg Ellis.
That's number two.
What isn't Nesta J. Seville? Wasn't he undrafted?
He was a 7th rounder.
Oh, 7th rounder. Okay.
Yeah. But anyways, there you have it, folks. I'll read out
to Nesta. Shout out to Nesta, by the way, for saying "fuck that motherfucker."
Yeah.
Right.
What do you say? How these fuck N-word gonna keep me on the bench? Shout out to AP.
Yep. There you go.
All right. So from the top, we agreed Nate Hobbs B+ for the value he's given us at round 3, and being a very good money backer type guy, and being a guy we're definitely moving forward with as a key player on defense and in that secondary. Another guy can be said the same thing, TREVON MOEHRIG, B-, round 2 safety, been pretty productive, had a good 3rd-year leap. Malcolm KOONCE, a guy who's trending upwards, and I see a good future for him. He's exceeded our expectation, but just up until last season, hadn't really produced as well as he did when Antonio Pierce took over, and then we know what happened, right? So he would be up here in terms of that, but like just for what he did in his first 2/3 of the Raider career, we put him here. I thought that's a fair range. The same thing can be said about Diablo, but he did have he's another player at a 3rd-year leap, did quite well, being a round 3 guy, a project guy. He's actually panning out to be a decent player. The UDFA class highlighted by DJ Turner, D-, outside of him, nobody's done a damn thing. Alex Leatherwood, a disaster. We all know and agree with that one. TYREE Gillespie, a disappointment, got outplayed by Polomau, and he was off our roster. Never saw a regular season snap. I don't know, maybe on special teams, but didn't do anything in the regular season. No stats or anything. And Jimmy Morrissey, a guy we wanted to keep, but just fell victim to the numbers. So Final grade, guys. I'll start with you, Solo. What would you give this draft class as a whole with perspective?
Well, I mean, being that we got maybe 3 solid players out of that draft.
4?
Maybe 3 or 4. 4. I mean, Diablo is kind of solid. I mean, so overall, I don't think Gruden and Mayock did that bad, but I'm gonna give it maybe a B.
B? Okay, I got you.
Only reason why it should be a C is because of Alex Leatherwood for the 17 pick. I thought that was awful, but to get these kind of players out of this draft class, I mean, I'll give it a B.
That's fair. Before I move on to you, Raider Joe, Space Beast is saying we should do a mock draft. I'm probably not the guy to ask for mock drafts, being that I haven't watched any college tape, so I wouldn't have any clue on these guys. And the way I do things is that, like, I wait to see who we drafted, then I'll watch their tape and make a fair assessment on them, rather than doing my extensive research on players we're likely not going to draft. But each to their own. So I appreciate the thought, but maybe we might do one for the hell of it some other time. But yeah, something to keep in mind. Snoop says C+. What say you, Raider Joe? What would you give this draft class as a whole?
I'll say a solid C. I think if it wasn't for McDaniels coming in, I do think there would be another player on this list, and that would be Ingold.
Right.
But he's obviously not. But yeah, I would give it a
Ingold
solid
was
C.
2019.
Oh, he was 2019, huh?
Yeah.
All right, my bad.
Anyways, go ahead.
I'm not going to harp on Gruden and Mayock. I think they get a lot of flack because of their first round picks specifically. But in the grand scheme of things, look at all their draft classes. You know what I mean? We got Max Crosby, we got Jacobs, we got a handful of players. You know what I mean? But this class in particular, it's not flashy. It's not anything crazy. But, the fact that we got what's his ass? MOEHRIG, HOBBS, these are guys that are still on the team, and in my opinion, their game is just improving year in and year out. I think MOEHRIG even switched positions, if I'm not mistaken. So it goes for saying something.
Yeah, that first pick sucks, man. Just having a clutch player on that first pick, man. That's a critical pick, man.
Yeah,
Facts.
It hurts us. It hurts us. Well, what would be your final grade, Joe?
Just a C.
Solid C. Okay. Ont6?
I would have to give this draft class overall a C+ in my opinion, just because we got a couple good starters and a couple players with potential. So overall, I'll just give it a C+.
Gotcha. All right. I would go B- as a whole, being that we have 4 guys here who are only trending upwards, are still on our roster, and for the most part are going to be. I believe most of these guys have a role to play in our next season, 2 seasons, unless they leave in free agency, 3 seasons. So all these guys are trending upwards. So the fact that we got, and they're all on the defensive side of the ball. So the fact that we got 4 of our 7 guys who are all starting, all mid to late rounders, and guys who are productive. I think that's when you think about it, this is actually probably one of the better defensive draft classes we've had in terms of depth in a long time. We've whiffed so many times when we draft defensively. I mean, the jury's still out from last year's draft class, being that it's only been 1 year, so we got to give them a fair shake. But when you compare it to that and the likes of I don't know if you guys remember 2017, which was a predominantly defensive draft class where we got guys like Conley, Obi Melifonwu, and a whole bunch of who the fuck are they? Where the fuck are they now? You know what I mean? Yeah. So in the grand scheme of things, I think this has been one of the better defensive draft classes we've had in recent history. But yeah, this pick here, if it wasn't for those guys panning out, the guys I just highlighted, that really hurts us. Another first round flop with Alex Leatherwood. And I'm going to give it a B minus, being that we've got defensive guys here who are still playing productively and still have a long future, and hopefully a long future with us specifically ahead of them. So my final grade would be B minus. And DJ Turner being a good gunner, like I highlighted. Surprised nobody else noticed that besides me. But yeah, DJ Turner is also another piece to go with the guys I highlighted above. But what say you, Ont6?
Oh, I already did I think it's Soul's turn.
I said a B. I already did my take. It was a B, but I just want to add something, man. That's crazy that you mentioned it. They're all defensive players, man. I'm sitting here like, we drafted heavy on defense that year, and man, that's why I gave it a B, because those guys are playing good. They're starting, they're producing. You know, what more could you ask for? So
it makes sense too, because if you remember, they were coming off a year where they beat Kansas City.
Yeah,
they almost beat them a second time, but Paul Gunther, and they were right there, bro. Like, as far as making the playoffs, but their defense just kept giving out. Like, if you remember that Miami game where
Arden Key.
I don't remember who got that penalty. It was Arden Key.
Arden Key.
Our defense literally lost us that game. So it definitely makes sense, man. Like, when you look at that draft class, like, we were lacking heavily in defense, and then they go and get the best safety in the nation in TREVON MOEHRIG, and and that's what's crazy too, man. Like, a lot of people don't realize the average career length of these guys in the NFL is only 3 years. But we got a handful of guys right here that are entering year 3, and they're looking like their game's only going to get better and better. So it's exciting to see.
Right. So B minus for me. Raider Solo, you gave it a B, right?
Yeah.
Joe, you gave it a solid C.
Yeah.
And Ont6, sorry, what was your grade again?
I had it a C plus.
C plus. Did you give your take, Ont6? Your final take?
I did. I said I like the class overall. I just wish we would have drafted somebody else or Leatherwood. I would have given it a higher grade, but overall, just because we got 3-4 solid starters, I'll give it a C plus.
For sure. All right, so we're all around that B, C plus kind of C range. I think for the most part, when you look at it, it was a successful draft, barring that glaring whiff with Leatherwood. And like I highlighted, having these 4 players and DJ Turner all having roles to play and big futures with us, and only trending upwards. And salute to Charm, I see you in the building. Good to see you joining us late. Yeah, it saves this draft. It's actually, when you think about it, not just one of the better draft class, but one of the better draft class we've had in recent history. I mean, it's not 2014, but it's still a good enough draft for the most part. So yeah, there is that. So there you have it, folks. That's our draft revisit from 2021, where we go back and grade it and give them a fair shake now that they've had 3 seasons deep. So yeah, Space Beast. We lost Rasul Douglas in free agency that year. Yeah, I believe was that 20. I think it was 2022 or 2021, whatever. But Rasul Douglas, we moved on from, and sure enough, he's another player. Hallelujah, just goes and figures it out for another team, right?
Green Bay, man. I'm telling you, they pick up trash and make it treasure.
That's crazy.
Right. All right, just give me more like that, and boom. All right. So there you have it, folks. That's our show for this evening. Any final words, guys, or anything you want to touch up on before we get up on out of here?
Yes, I have a question, and it's for all 4 of you gentlemen, or 3 of you gentlemen, and the live chat feed. In this year's draft, where do you see the Raiders going with their first pick? It doesn't even have to be a name. It could just be position, or if you want to give a name, that's cool too. But I'm just curious to see where you guys think we go. Do we go quarterback?
That's a great question.
I mean, me personally, Joe, I think it's going to be a quarterback. but I think it's not going to be the quarterback that we all want.
That we want, yeah. So probably not Jaden
Don't
Daniels.
say it. Don't say it.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about, bro. That's what I'm worried about. But I know it's going to be a quarterback 100%, but I just know, I hope it's going to be the one that we want.
Okay.
What about
You
you?
got some names there. Cool Cat says, I hope they trade up to the 7th and take Harrison. Again, I'm not the right guy to make a comment on these players because I don't watch college or enough college football. And there goes my camera. Give me a mo.
Michael Big Balls Penix. Wow.
All right, I'm back.
What about you, Solo?
Man, it's a part of me that's saying we're gonna take a quarterback, but for some reason, I don't know. I'm looking at Telesco and his draft history and how does he draft, and I'm looking at what AP wants. So you put those two together. You put those two together, man. It's going to be a quarterback. It's going to be a quarterback. I'm looking at maybe McCarthy from Michigan, or we're going to either trade up to get Daniels. Now, what are we going to trade up and give up? I'm not sure, but you got to give something up. You're going to have to give up a lot, actually, because the competition is thick for that spot. So, man, I see us getting a quarterback, but you're going to have to give up a lot, man.
Yeah, I have a take on that. And before I start, I got the Sting theme in the background. Shout out to Sting, had his last match on the weekend. I don't know if you guys knew that, but
the legend
finally finished his career. Yeah, wrestling legend. So I figured it was fitting to play his theme in the background. Had a lot of good memories with Sting, so shout out to him. You know,
he's in he was in AEW.
Yeah, he finished his. He had his last match in AEW. So yeah,
okay.
Shout out to him.
Wow, much respect.
A great wrestling legend indeed. So I thought I'd give him his flowers. But I agree with you guys. While I don't really know too much about the talent, it's no secret, and I've said it a few times. Like, I think it's about time we swing for the fences and grab ourselves a quarterback. Not saying that Aiden O'Connell doesn't have a future; he can still prove to be the guy. But at the very least, I think he's there, and he can be a guy who can come in, possibly start or be a backup guy who can win us some games. And he has time to grow. We might bring in a free agent, but I still stand by what I said. If we have an opportunity to find a guy early, whether we're about in the first round, whether we trade up or we hold fast, I think that the time is right and the time is now. I mean, granted, I get it. A lot of people see where it can go wrong, giving a lot of draft capital away, and it's a move that could possibly hinder this team for years if we get it wrong. But if we get it right, if we find the guy who's going to take us to heights which we haven't been at, which we haven't seen for the longest time, and it starts with the quarterback, then I think the time is now. We've got to do whatever it takes by any means necessary to get that guy. And if it takes trading up for it, however much it will cost us, then so be it. I'm all for it. And I trust Antonio Pierce is going to make the right call and the right decision. And I trust his evaluations. I trust Telesco. I'm all aboard this new regime. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Antonio Pierce, give him time and he's going to get us to where we need to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, for me, I've said it many times. He is my captain, our captain of the Silver and Black Seas, and he's going to sail us to glory. You just got to wait. Be patient. It's going to happen, nation. I'm willing to bet my Raider fandom. And I haven't felt this way for the longest time. Like, I had a bad feeling it was going to turn out the way it did with the last regime. I had a bad feeling it was going to turn out the way it did when we had Dennis Allen and Hugh Jackson in the door. Granted, that there was context to that, but like, just saying, like, there's something about this new regime and aura that it's given me that I have a good feeling about. There's a lot to be excited for.
What if it costs you Devontae Adams? What if it costs you Devontae Adams?
This year or next season?
For that draft spot. Just think
by
about
any means necessary. Any means necessary. Like I said, if we find the guy, we have all the confidence. And if he turns out to be what I said, everything I said that he can be, it's capital well spent. We got to do it. It starts at the quarterback. Like, you can still make things happen if you don't have like a top tier quarterback, so to say. I mean, look what the Eagles did the year they won with Nick Foles taking over, and salute to you, Lord Rachitas. But I'm just saying, it starts at the quarterback position, and I believe the time is right. The time is now. But hopefully, it's not. If we do move up, it's not going to cost us in the long run. Or if we hold fast, we pick someone at pick 13, then whatever. He's going to be my guy. I'm going to get behind.
Can I ask one last question?
Before you do, I just want to put up this comment here. Ont6 got that 675th jersey on. Do you want to hold it up for the chat to see?
Ont6? That jersey is fire.
Show us the cleavage.
Show me the
That is
money
fire,
first. Nothing free. I charge by the pound, Joe. Just letting you know, it's not going to be cheap. I charge by the pound.
How much was that jersey? Because it's very pristine, and that's a limited edition jersey, especially in this day and age, to find something in as good condition as that. So shoot Ont6, and then sorry, Solo, you go.
Oh, you good? But last question, man. Who do you want at quarterback? We all know we may have to get a quarterback, but the question is, who do you want?
You guys want to?
Personally, I'm all in on Jalen Daniels. That's who I want. AP recruited this guy to Arizona State. He knows him personally. He knows what he can do. He recruited him to Arizona State, told him he can win the Heisman over here one day. He literally left there, Arizona State, because Tony Pierce came to the NFL. And look what he did. He went to LSU and won a Heisman Trophy. I understand we had bad luck with Jamarcus Russell in the past, but you can't hold what Jamarcus Russell did onto this kid. This is a whole different kid, and I really think this kid is the real deal. Especially in this time and age in the NFL, you need a mobile quarterback, and this kid can, and any time can score. But it comes to make any throw on the field, to taking the 75 yards with his feet for a touchdown. And this is the kid that we need to take it to the promised land. Because this is the thing too. I don't want to get stuck with another Derek Carr or fucking Alex Smith, just a game manager. Just. I'm not trying to be rude. I love Derek Carr. I got love for Derek Carr.
I know, I'm just fucking with you.
Take it there just to the playoffs every year. I want somebody that's going to be able to go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes and going to be able to beat Patrick Mahomes. You know what I mean? And that's the only quarterback that I can seriously see in this draft doing that, and that's Jalen Daniels. Because everybody says, oh, Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is only 6'1", 6 foot tall. Name me one short quarterback that's actually succeeded besides Drew Brees in this league. None of them have. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, the only quarterback that I do see that I'm willing to trade up for is Jalen Daniels, in my opinion.
Nice. Good take.
Nice. And Raider Pete, salute to you. Free agency frenzy starts in 8 days, right? That's 8 days too long. Hasn't started yet. I'm getting over waiting, right? I just want to read up this comment here. We were just talking about it before. Respect. My dad recognized Sting without face paint walking to a breakfast spot in Pismo Beach. He looked at him like, and the guy nodded back at my dad like, yeah, it's me, Sting. That's what's up. That's what's
dope.
up.
That's a trip, man. That beach is very close to where I live. Let's go.
Nice.
Afakasi grading the 2022 draft next show. So the next time we do this kind of thing, we will only do it. I only do these kind of theme shows 3 years deep. So this will be around the same time frame next year, when the 2022 draft class has had 3 seasons to show what they got, and then we do like this draft. That's why we went back to 2021 this year. Last year we went back and did the 2020 draft class, which was for the most part a disaster outside of Meek Robertson. We've also done the 2019 draft class, which is actually quite good when you look at it. But yeah, so we wait 3 seasons deep till we do this kind of show. So it'll have to wait till next year where we can give them a fair shake and a fair grade. So yeah, and Charm City going to be the longest 8 days. Yeah, right. I'm sick of waiting. All right, guys. Well, anything else you want to get off your chest?
Just real quick with me, Afakasi, I'm just tired of the stupid content creator over there, the Death Star Report over here saying that we need to fucking trade up Not for any quarterback, not for Jalen Daniels, not for Caleb Williams, you know, not for none of these top 3 guys. He wants us to go trade up for Bo Nix. Okay? Really? Bo fucking Nix. Mister, I've been in college for fucking 5 years. You know what I mean? Bo fucking Nix, bro. This guy has not done anything in college and shit, right? He's had a horrible ass fucking offseason. He had a horrible ass fucking Senior Bowl. You can't even complete a pass from what I'm saying. Everybody's saying he's done horrible. But yeah, your stupid ass is over here telling us that we need to go trade 3 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks to go up to number 2 to go get Bo Nix. Like, shut the fuck up, bro. Y'all know what the hell you're smoking up over there? Lay off the fentanyl. Maybe you need to drive in your busted-ass F-150 and take a drive somewhere and shit. You know what I mean? Maybe call up Cortez and go tell him, nightmare, Ont6 has been doing me for years. You know what I mean? But stop it, okay? Ain't nobody gonna fucking be sad when you don't do YouTube no more. Nightbot's not gonna miss you. He's the only one in your fucking stream watching your ass. So do everybody a favor and stay off YouTube, bro. Because I'm tired of your stupid takes. God damn. All you want to talk about is first Josh McDaniels. And then you want to talk about when Jim Harbaugh whips off his fucking penis and goes from one end of the table to the other. Let's shut the fuck up, bro. Seriously, you're a grown-ass man talking about another guy's penis and shit, and then you're trying to jump on the AP boat now. So shut the fuck up over there at Death Star Report, aka the Diss Sucker Report. Just stop it, bro. I'm done. So with that being said, shout out to the homie Solo. Thanks for joining us tonight. Shout out to my boy Afakasi. Shout out to my boy Raider Joe. Shout out to everyone in chat. And I'm out of here, dog. And with that being said, don't smoke fentanyl, kids. I'm out.
Peace on 6. Appreciate you stopping by, my guy. I can't comment on Bo Nix because I've never watched him play, so I'm only going to have to take whatever everyone else thinks about that. So, Raider Solo, you want to take the floor and let everyone know where we can find you?
Yeah, man. I'm on Instagram at Solo the Raider, Solo_the_Raider. Yeah, man. I got great content coming up for this upcoming season. I haven't been putting out any content lately, but man, I promise you it's because I'm coming up with the game plan to give y'all the greatest content you can ask for from me, man. So shout out to everybody in the chat that came through to show love, man. Shout out to everybody who putting on for the Raider Nation, man. Just sit tight, y'all. We gonna have a great season this coming season. I could feel it in my bones. But I gotta say this. I feel like we need to get Caleb Williams, man. It's a crazy take, but listen, I got a feeling this guy is going to be a problem, man. So, nothing greater than a Raider, man. I appreciate y'all stopping by. And my boy AR, I appreciate you for having me, bro. It's wonderful, man. I love it.
Thank you, Raider Solo. You're my guy. It's always a pleasure having you on with us. And, yeah, for those who haven't, if you can, go find Raider Solo and chuck him a follow and a subscribe. He's got some really good content, some of the best edits when it comes to your short and concise videos. So please show him the same love and support that you showed me if you haven't already. So appreciate you all. What about you, Raider Joe? You got some final thoughts? I know you've been getting pretty active with your solo videos, and you've been actually getting quite good traction. I saw the last video you did. Got what, like 1,400, 500 views? So nice. Shout out to you, Raider Joe, doing big things. So appreciate you. Let the people know where they can find you and what you got going on, Joe.
Yeah, man. Raider Joe _24 on Instagram, and then just Raider Joe. I think I might be one of the only Raider Joes on YouTube. So if you search Raider Joe, it's there on YouTube. I don't really do lives much other than with my guys here, just because of time, man. I got 4 little ones, and as you can see, I work. I'm at work right now on company time, but it's all good, man. I post whenever I can. I post videos about whatever I feel is important to the nation and interesting to me.
Appreciate it.
I might not always do the clickbait stuff, but, you know, I just post whatever I feel is interesting. So if that's your kind of content, man, hit that sub. It's all love. I think I could speak for most of us, or maybe all of us, when I say we don't do this for money. We just do it based off the love of this football team. And I agree with Solo, man. I think the Raiders are in for a good season this coming season. So stay tuned to all of our content, man, and just keep it pushing. And any haters that got something to say about AP, you might want to just take off your Raider hat and your Raider jersey, man, and switch sides or do something else, man. Because we're all AP over here, straight up.
Team AP all the way.
AP.
That's right. Facts.
Love it. Thank you, Raider Joe. Always appreciate you making time for us. I know life comes calling for you first and foremost, as does with all of us. I mean, you know, but particularly for you, you got a family, you got work. So whenever you can make time for us, always appreciated. You're my day one. Love you to death, my friend.
Likewise.
But yeah,
man,
like,
likewise.
you know, I'm right there with you. Like, what we don't do here over here with the Raiders World Order, like, why we're probably not as active as what some of the other guys who do their thing. Like, shout out to them. Like, we all have our own styles and what we like to do. But over here, we don't really do like hypotheticals. We don't really look into like the what ifs and blah, 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 blah. We kind of like to look at, okay, where are we at now? What have we got? And where can we be with the pieces that we have and the things that are going on within the Raider, as I like to say, and you kind of gave me a little stick for it before, Raider hip hop happenings. But that's how we do things. But we will get active again during the free agency process as well as the draft. I'd like to think we can do what we did last season and do a live draft reaction. Raider Solo, you're very welcome to come and join us for doing said
Always.
things. And Raider Joe, you know, I know life keeps you busy, but you know the door is always open for you, my brother. It'll never close. A space beast, Raider Joe. I'm already subbed and didn't know. No excuses. Make content. Little harsh for my boy there.
I got you.
All right, gang. Well,
got you, bro.
I'm gonna wrap it up now. Thanks again. Shout out to my guy Ont6. We got to my left, Raider Solo. To my right, Raider Joe. I'm Afakasi Raider. Raider Nation for life. Win, lose, or tie. You know what time it is. It's Raider Nation till we what, gang?
Till we die, baby.
Till we mother friggin' die. All right, peace, chat. We'll see you on the next one. Take care, and you just have yourself a good day. All right,
Just
take care.
win, baby.